Essie here with a process video for Peartree Cutfiles, and this month in February the lovely Marie has designed some cut files in collaboration with Scrappin Happy Studios and the new 4 digital collections that they have released. So I'm using Spring Vibes, and this is the cut file that goes with that collection. And I'm going to start my layout by using the beautiful Field of Flowers stencil. I've got that there in the 12 by 12. You can also get those in 8 by 8 and 6 by 6 over on the Peartree Cutfiles website. And I'm using Ranger texture paste through the stencil, to start off creating a background. And I want lots of colour, lots of spring-like flowers. You can see on the right hand side there, I've already fussy cut a lot of the ephemera from the collection after it's been printed out. And so I'm really embracing the florals and spring, even though it's a bit wet and gloomy outside. Bringing lots of bright colour. Just having a look at the cut file and where it might sit so that I know whether I want to add any more texture paste. Just being quite random. And there you can see I've removed the stencil and the texture paste is now dry. So I have my Cosmic Shimmer watercolours and a water brush pen, and I'm going to watercolour over the top of the texture paste. I want a real a watery colour effect. So I'm not being too precise. I'm adding the colour randomly, not colouring in the edges, which my art teacher might be a bit annoyed about, but I am adding the colour, letting it kind of go over the texture paste and around the edges, and it kind of where it sits on the texture paste and on the cardstock, you get a different tone. And I'm just using random colours that match in with the collection to create my background, and I'm hoping that that will just give a soft pastel kind of coloured background for the really bright colours that are in this collection. Adding some green, and in a moment I'm going to pop that aside to dry. I'm going to finish, I won't make you sit and watch me paint all of it, but I am going to paint the whole thing, and that's now set aside to dry. So moving on to my cut file, I've got this sheet printed from the Spring Vibes collection, and the Scrappin Happy Studios collections are available on their website. And I'm going to use the letters from the cut file, and to make it easy for myself, I'm sticking them on the reverse of the cardstock, and then I shall cut them out. So you have to remember to stick them upside down, so the wrong way, so that when you cut them out and turn them over, the patterned side is obviously the right way, so the letters read properly. Just fussy cutting with, some people use quite big scissors for fussy cutting. I can't get on with that at all, so love my little cutter bee scissors for fussy cutting. Just finishing off the little fiddly bit in the middle there. And again, not going to make you sit and watch me do them all, just going to do a couple. And if you notice, I'm moving the paper rather than the scissors, and I find that the easiest way to get a smooth finish. Just cutting around the edge of that letter. And there I have my letters all cut out. Just using my craft knife to cut the middle sections of the R and then the P. I find that much easier than trying to get into that middle bit with my scissors. Making sure I get a clean cut on the corner bits, which can be quite fiddly. and then they'll be ready to use on my layout. I'm using just a black journaling pen to add a doodled line around the edge, and I'm breaking up the line every now and again with a little doodle cross or a heart, just to make it well, look a bit more doodled. And it just creates an edge and an outline to the letters that hopefully will help them stand out a bit, because there's going to be a lot going on this page. So my cut file, I've started backing the florals. Didn't think you'd want to sit and watch me do them all, because I love doing this, but it is quite time intensive. So I'm focusing on the 3 colours, just using 3 colours for those florals. The pink and the blue that you can see are from the Scrappin Happy Studio Spring Vibes collection. The pale pink is just from my stash, because I felt it needed a 3rd colour just to break them up, and I wanted a paler colour in there. I could have used the same sort of minty colour that I'd used for my letters, but I kind of wanted to use that just for my letters, so that was the focal colour. So just popped a little bit of pale pink in there. That pale pink is from the Unconditional collection from Rosie Studios, which I got from Lottie Loves Paper. So just finishing off, and how I back my cut files is, as you can see there, I'm turning the cut file over, drawing on the reverse of the patterned cardstock, and then cutting a slightly bigger piece than I need so that I have an edge to stick. And sometimes I don't get it quite perfect and I have to trim some bits off once it's stuck. But generally I find that that's the easiest way to get the pieces I need. Just got a couple more of those smaller flowers to do. And then I'm going to also use some green from my stash for the foliage. And there is my background that's now dry. I have got a slightly curvy piece of cardstock back for my background, but hopefully once that's in my album that will flatten out a little bit. I should have used some mixed media cardstock, but I just used a normal sheet because I hadn't really thought through what I was going to do. Just popping some foam sheets onto the back of my cut file. This is self-adhesive on one side, the foam, so sticking that down and then adding some silicone glue gel, ready to stick that onto my background. I find a wet glue works best for that, or when it's on a textured surface, and also it means I can squidge it around a little if I'm not quite happy with the exact placement first time round. Also using the foam sheets to back the letters with. I love this foam. You can cut it, it's just really cheap children's foam sold in packs, and I find that you can manipulate it on really well on the backs of those letters and curve it round so that you can get a really good surface to stick. And again, using the silicone glue gel to stick it in place. You can see that I have coloured the word vibes. I started off by just doodling around the edge. Eagle-eyed among you will notice earlier in the video that was just doodled around, but I didn't feel that it stood out enough, so I've actually used a Tonic Studios or Nuvo glitter marker in Urban Graphic just to colour that in and make that stand out a bit more amongst all that colour. And it kind of ties in, once my ephemera and things on, ties in with the grey of the rabbits. So I'm starting to think about where I want my ephemera pieces to go, and I've got these photographs from Easter 2020, and so I'm using the rabbits and the Easter eggs from the ephemera collection, and I'm going to pop my photos. My photos I've printed on my Canon Selfie Square, and they are self-adhesive, but they're a little bit of a devil to get the backing off. So, and I've got nails, so I'm just fighting with those a little bit. And then using a square or a piece of foam sheet to layer them up. And just tucking them in under the little edges of those bottom florals on the cut file. Using my silicone glue gel to begin sticking my ephemera, and the beauty of this gel is that you can stick the ephemera in place with a little bit of a dimension. You can layer it up as thick as you want to create different layers. And it gives you some flexibility to move bits around once they're down. I really want to use that hedgehog. I try a couple of times to find somewhere for him to go because he's so cute, but I can't quite make him work, so I'll save him for another layout. Going to tuck some florals in there to kind of extend the cut file. Not quite sure about where to put that one. And I tried using one of the word banners or the word labels. I don't know what you'd call them, but just cut out one of the labels there from the collection, and I really wanted to try and make that work, but I wasn't happy with it. So again, that got left to one side for another time. And there's loads of gorgeous floral ephemera in this collection as well. There's butterflies and there's foliage, as well as the cute bunnies and hedgehog. Just adjusting, seeing where I want those Easter eggs to go. And obviously you can see these are good old Snapchat photos. Just messing around during our lockdown Easter. Adding some more florals. Just kind of wanting to connect that watering can to the cut file, but decided that one was a little bit too big. I do put something in there, I think. Thinking about adding some leaves, but not quite sure where to put them. And now I'm going to use some pear tree pieces. I'm just having a look through my box of gorgeous bits and pieces from Peartree Cutfiles, and I've got these pink and yellow flowers, which I've had for a while. Oh, I found a little tiny floral that's perfect for in there, look. So I'm going to use the pink glittery flowers and some of the yellow felt flowers just to dot around and add a little bit of a different texture and some smaller detail around my ephemera clusters. Oh, discovered I hadn't actually stuck that egg down there, look. I do that quite often. The number of times I pick up a layout and something drops off because I haven't actually stuck it down. Adding another little flower in there. And I could keep going. Oh, that masking tape I just stuck down to try and keep the page a bit flatter while I was working on it. And going to write on the photograph. I couldn't remember the year, so I add that later. And that's my layout done. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you here again soon. Bye.